Hey everybody, Sir Jellybean here, and I am back with Men of War 2 preview. So I thought I'd give my pros and cons on Men of War 2 and what I thought of it. And I'll give you a heads up, it's not all great, it's pretty bad, but there are some good things. And just to give you a heads up if you're thinking about buying it, as right now it's not in the best state. Anyway, we'll start with the pros first, we'll get the good things out of the way. The sound was fantastic, weapons sound crisp, there's some good noises, the weapons sound accurate. Things like tank weapons and artillery explosions, they all sound pretty damn good. If you watch any videos on it, just watch any gameplay with no commentary, you'll hear the sounds are fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. There's also formations. When you're moving the infantry, you can select formations, which is really awesome. It's at the bottom left of the screen. So you can kind of have a bit of a control over the tacticalness of your troops, how they're moving around, which is great. Something that they could probably get into Gates of Hell, so that's really cool. I do like that. Inventories are good as well, like they've got accurate equipment, they're carrying the grenades, you can take things off bodies, you can pick guns up, like your typical Men of War games, which is really good. I'm glad they've carried that on. I think that's fantastic, and it's good that they haven't gone away from that. And it ran well. I can't complain that the game ran really smoothly. I know it's just the beta, the preview, but there was no crashes, there was no stuttering or anything like that I noticed. Frames seemed decent. I know some people are really into that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it ran really well, and yeah, no problems there. Really good, so it was just a small beta. And the graphics, even though a little cartoony, which I wasn't a fan of, they were crisp. Like, they did look good. Like, it's not the style I prefer, but if you do like that style, the graphics look good. There was nothing wrong with the graphics. Just a different style, not as realistic as like Gates of Hell or the original Men of Wars, but kind of more in line with Company of Heroes kind of graphics, but still pretty good. If you like your graphics, I don't think you're going to find too many issues, but not my style. Now, the cons are here, and this is where the game really loses me. I think it'll lose most of you. Most of you, should I say. Combat feels arcadey. Like, combat is poor. Infantry kind of lock onto the targets. Doesn't seem to matter about actually so much. They just lock on, start firing. It's over very quickly. It didn't feel like firefights were particularly fun. Like, in Gates of Hell, you tend to have standoff fights. Things in cover take a bit of time. If there's no vehicles present, infantry tend to trade rounds a bit. There's a bit of, it feels a bit realistic. In this, it's just like shoot, kill pretty much instantly. And cover doesn't tend to make a difference, neither does terrain. It seems like they just shoot through cover. That might be because it's the beta, it might be a glitch, but I had units being shot below cover when they shouldn't have been able to be seen. It just didn't feel right. It felt very arcadey. It felt a bit like Company of Heroes with a bit of like Men of War sprinkled on, which wasn't great. Buildings seem too small scale as well. It seems weird, like the camera seems a bit too zoomed out. Some of the terrain didn't feel that good scale. Like, buildings just seem small, they don't seem significant. And when, even though there is destructible terrain, which is good, tanks just seem to drive through buildings pretty quick. I also found where vehicles hit terrain like trees, they just roll straight over them. Which, even though in Gates of Hell they hit terrain and slow too much, in this it's like tanks just plowed through trees. It was a bit silly. Like, there's no weight to it, and there's no weight to the vehicles. It feels like everything just kind of goes around on sleds or skates, which doesn't add very well to the realism. Combat's also very quick when it comes to vehicles. Like, you'll see here, the Panzer IIs come out to engage. They just explode pretty much straight away. There's no kind of... It didn't feel realistic at all. It's like a mobile game. It's like an arcade game. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work having a kind of arcadey game where the damage is quick. It just things like... a bit like a tower defense game. Things just explode all over the place. And it doesn't feel great. And that's another thing. The explosions looked arcadey. That is where the graphics do fail. The explosions didn't seem very great. The fire effects didn't seem to spread or look that good either. Like, the effects aren't that good. Definitely nowhere near as good as the graphics. Artillery guns and anti-tank guns turn really quick. It's weird. They don't seem realistic. There's no weight to them. And then when artillery fires, it's like a grenade's being shot at. It just looks terrible. It looks like a bump. It looks awful. It's like a mobile game. It just doesn't suit at all. Infantry also failed to engage themselves. I've noticed when you're trying to move them around, you have to kind of micro them a lot. And these are already micro-intensive games. And it didn't feel good. It felt poor. I was not impressed. I did not want to play more after playing a few hours. And that's the key. If you're playing the beta and you play a couple of missions and it doesn't seem to feel good, you're not going to come back for more. You're not going to say, oh, that's a really good game. It was poor. It felt arcadey. It felt like a mobile game. It didn't bring me in. And it's not put me on a path to want to buy the actual game. And that's the key thing. And I think most people will feel the same. And also, another thing you got to remember, when the Operation Liberation DLC comes out for Gates of Hell, they have the Western Front. There's not really any reason to buy Men of War 2 for me. Now Gates of Hell has the Western Front come in. Men of War 2 is just obsolete. Like, this was the chance for it to show its ability. And it's just like, to me, it's basically 60% Company of Heroes, 10% Men of War, the actual Men of War, and 30% mobile game. And it's like an awful hybrid. They took the worst elements and put them together. And you'd be better off buying Company of Heroes if you want that style of game. And you'd be better off buying Gates of Hell, in my opinion, if you want a realistic style game. And I don't think modders are going to flock to this game either, because it's not going to be that popular. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to do that well. And yeah, I just don't think it's worth the money. And, you know, you can disagree with the opinion. You know, tell me what you think, but I just felt massively let down. But, you know, try the beta out yourself. Definitely do that. Don't just take my word. It's always best to play yourself. But definitely just have a good look before you buy it, because I will personally not purchase it. Definitely not on the release. Maybe in a few months we'll have a look, but it's got a lot of things to change, and a lot of ladders to climb for it to even think about purchasing it, especially if it's not on sale. Anyway, just my thoughts on it. Just a quick video just to tell you, just, you know, beware, you know, do your research and see what you think. And if you pre-ordered, I would just not pre-order, because if it ain't running that well in the beta and it doesn't look that good, they're not going to be able to change that much now. It'll take months to actually get the game to a decent standard, in my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. You guys have a fantastic evening.